through an overview briefly of the topics that we're going to cover today related to this topic. So, the first thing is what is accessibility customer support and success? Next, we'll look at why are we talking about it now? After that, we'll look at some existing practices that may already be in place in your organization that will support and align with accessibility. After that, we'll talk about some concrete steps that your organization can take starting today to start building out your accessibility customer support strategy. We'll go in depth on some of those steps, identifying your legal obligations. And then we'll look at who the key stakeholders might be in your organization related to this topic. What is an accessibility advocate? And what are some key components of an accessibility page, which is going to be one of our recommendations for you. And then finally, we will wrap up with some specific resources and ways that Accessible Web can help support your accessibility customer support efforts. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Isabella, who will talk with us about what is accessibility customer support.
Yeah, so what is accessibility customer support? It recognizes that customers with disabilities exist and statistically make up around 20 to 25% of your customer base. It acknowledges customers with disabilities may have unique support needs as compared to other customers. It focuses on the mitigation and removal of barriers. It ensures that users with disabilities can navigate, interact with, and benefit from digital products and services. It also ensures that all customers, including those with disabilities, receive assistance that meets their individual needs. So I'm gonna toss it over back to Heather.
Awesome. Thanks, Isabella. So now we're going to talk about why are we discussing this topic at this point in time. And so there are several reasons. We're going to go over three specifically today. The first one is legal compliance. So as many of you likely know, there are several major pieces of legislation globally slated to go into effect over the next months to 2 to 3 years. This includes the Americans with Disabilities Act, Title II here in the United States, the European Accessibility Act, and the Accessible Canada Act. We're not going to talk specifically about each of these pieces of legislation, but know that they all cover digital accessibility and have provisions specifically related to accessibility customer support. Um, the next thing that or the next reason why we're talking about this now is a vast unmet need. So the need has been here right along for accessibility customer support. Your customers with disabilities have been here all along. We're here today. We're going to continue to be here. And so just meeting that unmet need. And then also, it's just good for business, right? So it's a great way to set yourself apart from others in your industry or your field. It's a way to be a thought leader. Um, it also will help you build trust and loyalty with your customers. This is still a new enough concept. If your customers with disabilities are having a five-star customer support experience with you, they're going to be talking about that with their friends and families and colleagues and spreading the word. So it's a great way to build trust and loyalty. And also, in general, just aligns really well with any other social responsibility practices or goals that your organization may already have in place. And with the next slide, I'm going to hand it back to Isabella.
Perfect. So there are many different practices that could currently be in place that support accessibility within your organization. You could offer multiple ways of communication by offering access to reach a support team in different ways. It allows customers to choose which method of communication they feel the most comfortable using. There might also be current processes that are in place to resolve customer success issues. Um, and it could help address accessibility problems as well. And there's also a possibility for there being work already in progress to improve accessibility within your organization with digital products and services. So I'm going to toss it back to Heather for the steps that your businesses can take today to begin building an accessibility support system strategy.
All right. Yeah. So let's go ahead and build on what Isabella talked about just now that might already be in place. And so the first step you can take here is, as I already mentioned, to identify your legal obligations. And without getting into detail, the key things you need to think about here to figure out which pieces of legislation apply to your business is where is your business located and where are your customers located. And I will just quickly, as an aside here, say check out our archive webinar content because we have some webinars that we have done specifically related to the rules and regulations associated with some of these pieces of legislation. If you're looking for more information, and then we'll also talk at the end about some resources that Accessible Web can make available to you to help you identify what those legal obligations are. Um, the next step you can take is to identify the key stakeholders within your organization that will be involved in building an accessibility customer support strategy. You can assign an accessibility advocate. We'll talk a little bit more about what that specifically means. And then you can start thinking about building an accessibility page on your website or your mobile application. And here in a few minutes, we'll go into a little bit more detail on those so that you know a little bit more about what you're getting into there. Isabella next is going to tell us about identifying those key stakeholders.
Yeah, so many different people within your organization could be a key stakeholder. Some examples that could be a key stakeholder would be customers and employees who have disabilities, existing customer support agents, your assigned accessibility advocate, which we'll talk a bit about in a minute, a third party accessibility specialist or consultant, representatives from any internal teams working on accessibility, such as a engineering team, like a content creation, marketing team, things like that. A legal and risk management employee, and high up company leadership. And then I'm going to toss it back to Heather to talk about the accessibility advocate.
Yeah, so this accessibility advocate is going to be a really key component of this overall accessibility customer support strategy. And so, to our way of thinking, the first qualification is this person should be someone who has a passion for accessibility work and a vested interest in doing that work the right way. Also, they are going to be someone who will be responsible for reviewing and responding to all accessibility support related requests that come through. And the key thing here I want to point out is responding to, right? So it's really important that that person be able to connect with any customers that are reporting issues in a timely fashion, let them know that their issue has been seen and heard and understood, and that your organization is working on addressing it, mitigating it, and or in the meantime, offering a reasonable modification. Um, Also, this person, accessibility advocate, absolutely must be empowered within your organization to access the resources they need, connect with other team members, and be able to resolve any issues as they come up. So, again, you could have someone who's really passionate about the work and really well intentioned, but if they don't have access to what they need within the organization to address the issues, then your process is going to kind of end there. So it's really important that they have access to what it is they need. And that includes organizational support. Um, your accessibility advocate is also someone who works and advocates internally with their colleagues, overall shifting the culture left when it comes to accessibility and providing accessibility related education and training. And lastly, they can be someone that really models and mentors their colleagues to recognize that accessibility really is everyone's job and responsibility. Um, all right, on our next slide here, we're just going to talk about some of the key components. We mentioned building an accessibility page on your website. So we're going to talk about some things that you might find on an accessibility page and want to start thinking about for yours. So the first thing is going to be your accessibility statement. Stay tuned for an upcoming webinar. We're going to take a deep dive on this particular topic. But in general, this is a statement where you acknowledge to your customers that you recognize that customers with disabilities exist. They're welcome here. You see them, you hear them, you want to work with them. And you can talk a little bit about the work you're doing related to accessibility, where you maybe still need to make some improvements, and how you can provide support or reasonable modification in the absence of issues that can't be resolved right away. The second thing you might want to consider putting on this page is your VPAT, your voluntary product accessibility template, if that's something that applies to your business. This is a more technical document that specifically refers to the conformance of your product with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. The third thing would be as Isabella already mentioned or alluded to, clear and easy ways to get in touch with your organization to reach out for support. So we mentioned multiple methods. That's super important. So maybe you have a text chat, maybe you have an email, a voice phone, a video relay service for customers who are deaf. Whatever the case may be, ensuring that you have multiple methods is super important. You might want to think about having a form on that website that's simple and easy to understand that will help users report their accessibility related issues, guiding them through steps to collect the information that would be helpful for your organization to know in order to address the issue. Also, stay tuned for an upcoming webinar. We're going to talk more specifically about what that might look like as well. And just overall, the tone of your page should just be kind, open, welcoming, and recognizing your customers with disabilities, letting them know that you're there, you realize they exist, and you're wanting to reach out and support them should they need that. You don't want this page to really kind of sound like, well, legal said we had to do it, so here we are. Um, all right, so that wraps up your accessibility page. And we're going to finish up here with our next slide. And my colleague Gianna from our sales and marketing team is going to talk with you about some specific accessible web products and services that could help you build your accessibility customer support strategy.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Gianna. So Accessible Web, we offer a variety of resources and tools that can kind of help you think about this and implement it inside of your organization. So as Heather mentioned here on the slides, we have academy courses. So these range from, high level for customer success and support and leadership to sort of developer and more technical heavy courses. And then we also have our platform Ramp, which I can post the coupon and a link to register for in the chat right now. So Ramp it has an automated scanner in it. It's sort of the central hub of our tools and allows you to manage and organize your accessibility process within, one central platform. And we have an upcoming compliance center that is kind of slated to be released around the end of this month. We're rolling it out slowly and thoughtfully, but it's designed to help you think really holistically about how you are approaching accessibility conformance with all of your digital assets. So that includes having dedicated customer support channels and an accessibility advocate assigned, as well as, a strategy for monitoring and actually improving accessibility issues. And then finally, we offer a variety of services here, as you may remember from previous webinars if you've joined us or if you've worked with us. So we can help you create those VPATs that Heather mentioned. We can help you do audits, manual audits of your website. So it is important to note that when you're looking at automated tools like Ramp and or pretty much any tool out there, automated tools will only get you part of the way there. You really do eventually want to move on to manual auditing and assessment to make sure that you're getting a complete picture of WCAG conformance. So we can help with that, but you can also start to tackle that yourself with Ramp, as we, with all of our Ramp subscriptions, make our guide manual audit tool and our guide manual audit grid, which really replicates kind of that VPAT format with a lot more detail, available on all of the subscription plans, because we do want to encourage you to get to that step one way or another, even if it's kind of a process to ramp up to that. So yeah, if you have any specific questions about how we can support you towards this goal, please feel free to reach out. And then if you have any questions you want to ask the group here during the office hours session, which you're going to move on to in a sec, feel free to drop it in chat or in the Q&A session. And we'd love to help answer those questions live here.
Thank you so much, Gianna. Yeah, so that concludes our presentation. We're going to open it up to the audience for question and answer now. And as I mentioned earlier,